Okay, let's dive right into this. In today's explainer, we're looking at a massive, literally life-changing shift in how we value our money and honestly our time. We're talking about moving away from that obsessive, relentless hunt for cheap deals and consciously choosing high-quality premium assets instead. As you'll see, this completely reshapes your wealth, rewires your mindset, and absolutely helps you escape the dreaded poverty trap. So here's a question for you. Why do we always want to find gold in the ruins? I mean, it's this incredibly powerful, almost universal human instinct, right? In the game of investing or just everyday consumption, we are constantly lured in by the thrill of the bargain hunt. We all want to be that one clever person who uncovers a hidden gem buried deep in the rubble. And we've all felt that relatable frustration, digging through endless piles of low-quality junk, just hoping against hope to strike it lucky. But really think about it. How often does that actually work out in the long run? Well, as we go through life and gain more experience, especially as we hit middle age, we inevitably crash into what you might call the harsh consensus of experience. It's a brutal, but honestly highly rational realization. And it's simply this. Choosing premium assets, even when that price tag physically hurts to look at, is almost always the smarter, more logical path. This isn't about vanity. It's not about showing off. It's a profound reality check about life's logic and the actual uncompromising rules of building wealth. So, what exactly are we paying for when something is so supposedly expensive? Well, premium pricing is essentially a consensus stamp from the broader market. When you look at widely recognized cash cow dividend assets, they've literally never had approachable prices. And there's a reason for that. You are fundamentally paying a premium for certainty. You're buying an asset that has been relentlessly tested, put under a microscope, and proven to be rock solid. Let's move to how this builds over time. Think about the life cycle of one of these assets. In month one, it faces brutal market exposure and wild volatility. Fast forward to year one, and it's somehow survived continuous, relentless market swings. By year three, the pressure really ramps up. It's undergoing rigorous scrutiny, being torn apart and analyzed by countless professional financial models. And then finally, by year five, it emerges as a true survivor. Every single fluctuation, every professional inspection, essentially stamps quality right onto this asset. That ongoing, grueling authentication process, that is exactly what drives the price up and creates real premium value. But look, we have to be completely objective here. There is a risk for sure. Sometimes this market authentication process morphs into a trap. It becomes this high-level game of musical chairs. When everyone in the market is just blindly praising an asset, that massive bubble can totally conceal underlying flaws, kind of like a cracked pillar hidden inside a shiny, perfect-looking sphere. But even with this risk, compare it to low-quality assets that nobody wants and could drop to literally zero at any second. Time usually cures premium assets, even if you happen to buy them at the peak of their premium price. And this brilliantly illustrates the true psychological reality of holding assets long-term. This is huge. On one hand, you've got cheap substitutes. The moment you buy them, you get this joyful illusion. You feel like an absolute genius for saving so much cash, right? But the holding period? It is chronic mental torture. Constant repairs, terrifying shrinking value. It's like dealing with a broken gear that just constantly grinds your life to a halt. On the flip side, you have high-quality assets. The buying moment? Genuine heartache. That price tag stings. But the holding period is marked by continuous healing and absolute reliability. It acts like a shield. The money you thought you saved on the cheap item ultimately transforms into long-term psychological torment, whereas the premium asset brings you lasting peace. Which brings us to the invisible returns of premium assets. When you own a top-tier tool or a robust cash cow asset, you aren't just buying a thing. You're buying an umbrella that protects you from the storm. As long as you don't dwell on that initial crazy number, every single use, every dividend payout feels incredibly worthwhile. It wildly exceeds industry standards and stability. It never fails you during critical moments. And most importantly, it delivers continuous emotional value and deep, deep financial security. These invisible returns actually cure the pain of that initial price tag over and over again, quietly enriching your life with pure peace of mind. Now, we really need to talk about a critical economic reality: escaping the poverty trap. Listen, the greed for cheapness is often the exact bait that lures you right into this trap. Picture a bear trap filled with cheap, shiny little gems. Low-quality assets seem so incredibly accessible because of their low barrier to entry, but stepping into that trap leaves you completely, utterly defenseless against cyclical risks. Let's break down exactly how that plays out across real economic cycles. During a period of prosperity, your classic bull market, cheap assets actually lag behind the overall market, while premium assets just effortlessly filter out the mediocre noise and continue to grow. But the real difference? That shows up during a recession or a bear market. Cheap assets are the very first things to collapse entirely. Boom, gone. Meanwhile, your premium assets act as a crucial defense mechanism. They protect you against those severe cyclical risks and secure your wealth when you need it the absolutely most. So the crucial point is this. Why is expensive actually a strategic move? Simply because it secures your future. It inherently filters out the risk of a total, catastrophic collapse. What you're doing is essentially an advance exchange. You're trading a portion of your current cash flow right now for a long-term, super low-stress survival space later. It drastically lowers your long-term cognitive costs because you aren't constantly lying awake worrying about your assets breaking down or crashing to zero. Ultimately, this isn't just about investing. It's about aggressively defending your overall quality of life. As we navigate the second half of our lives, or just grow into more mature investors, we kind of have to reconcile with the idea of expensive. Accepting high prices for true quality isn't a defeat, and it definitely isn't you being taken advantage of by the market. It is a graduation. You're stepping up to a much higher level of cognitive and financial maturity, finally recognizing that true value extends way, way beyond a superficial price tag. There's an incredibly powerful quote here. Admitting some things are justifiably expensive is the beginning of cognitive class mobility. That right there perfectly captures everything we've been unpacking in this explainer. Instead of painstakingly panning for gold in the gravel, just hoping to find that one in a million cheap winner that almost always disappoints us anyway, we should really focus on acquiring and guarding our repeatedly certified ballast stones. We need to stand on high ground where everyone can plainly see their proven worth and build our firm foundation right there. Now, what's really interesting to think about as we wrap up is this. Are you ready to protect your life's quality by securing your own ballast stones? Seriously, take a hard, honest look at your asset allocation today. Are you buying joyful illusions that are just going to lead to chronic torture down the line? Or are you willing to endure a little heartache at the register right now for a lifetime of continuous healing and security? It's a huge paradigm shift, but I really encourage you to start making that mental pivot today.